Hello and welcome to Seattle City Makers. I'm your host, Jon Scholes. Welcome everybody to our latest episode. I'm joined by a great colleague, friend, and partner, Emily Cantrell, who is the President CEO of Seafair. She took on that role in September of last year, and she just came off delivering the 76th annual Seafair here in Seattle, along with her great team. And she was kind enough to join us just a few days after closing the book on this summer's Seafair festivities. And we debrief on all that went into Seafair and some of the new things and some of the evolved traditions and some of her favorite moments and more stressful moments of this year's Seafair. And we also discuss her career journey. She started as an intern on the assignment desk at Como. She was an Emmy Award-winning news producer for local broadcast stations and then transitioned into a role at Visit Seattle and working for a number of the great entities here in our city that in some form or fashion are about this place and shaping how people experience it. From the World Trade Center, been a commissioner with the Seattle Sports Commission, had a previous stint with Seafair, and now is leading the entity. She's also a survivor of the Las Vegas shooting that occurred nearly 10 years ago, talks openly and publicly about that, and has been active in the gun violence prevention movement with the Alliance for Gun Responsibility here in our state. She's a 40 under 40 leader, was recognized by the Puget Sound Business Journal, and a resident of downtown Seattle. Hope you enjoy my conversation with President CEO of Seafair, Emily Cantrell. Well, again, you're kind to do this.
Thanks for having me.
3 days after your first Seafair as CEO. Are you feeling rested and recovered?
Today's the first day that my body feels recovered.
Physically, you're better.
I could fall asleep right now, but my body doesn't hurt.
We're going to keep this anymore. Very interesting and a lot of provocative, probing questions to keep you awake. How do you feel it went? It was, by all accounts, a terrific
Yeah, we're happy
Seafair.
with it.
Yeah. Some new things.
We debriefed. Yeah, a lot new. We debriefed. There's a whole list of things that went really well and a whole list of things we know we can do better.
Always with any major production and event.
Yes.
It seemed like moving Torchlight to the waterfront was a huge hit.
That was beautiful. What did Monique? I talked to her a little bit.
The producer's verifying that his significant other, the broadcast partner for Seafair, Monique Minlavin, also approved. Did you get a bigger crowd than when it was on 4th? There's just like more places to hang and sit, and you saw all those people dangling over the overlook and the pedestrian bridge at Bell Harbor. We're
not where we were years and years ago, but it was better than
on numbers. Yeah. But the crowd looked great.
Yeah.
I know our mid-ambassadors had a great time walking and rolling and riding.
Yes, there were 3 that I met that morning. They were fantastic. Now I can't remember the names. I put them in my phone, but they were so nice.
Yeah, that's been a fun deal for us these last few years when they've marched in it. And the Hydros and Blue Angels were a hit. I was out on Lake Washington on Sunday, and it was jamming and great.
Yeah. Had some issues with drones this year because Homeland Security, they couldn't do what they normally do and shoot them down for us just because of funding changes in the administration. So we were kind of on our own. They don't
literally shoot them down. They just
have a way to drop them.
Oh, really? Yeah. Because people are flying drones above the Hydros or?
Yeah, in the airbox. And so
within the air zone.
Yeah, so we had to cancel one air show act. If there's one single drone when the Blue Angels are flying, they will cancel their entire show.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. And so we had 2 out on Friday or Saturday, and then a paddleboarder, and then Mercer Island PD was in our box. So
the life of a major events producer. What was your what are some of your favorite moments, and then what were some of the most stressful moments of the 2025 Seafair, your first as CEO?
Have we started?
We are going, Emily. This is it. This is Seattle City Makers.
This is so formal. Okay, so yes, favorite moments?
Yeah, your favorite moments.
Of the entire season.
Of the Seafair season, yeah.
Bringing back the kickoff And we had a new sponsor for that, Bank of America. And we found that these new sponsors are so energetic and supportive, and they're just bringing a whole new excitement to Seafair. And so
This was the kickoff you did on Pier 62?
yes, on the first day of summer. So Friday, June 20th, and Deputy Mayor Wong was out there to read the mayor's proclamation.
Yeah.
So that was really fun, and just making sure people understand we're more than one weekend in the summer.
Yeah.
We're full summer long worth of events. So that was great. And then the 4th of July was just flawless. We kept waiting for something bad to happen, and it just never did. It was so smooth.
Weather-wise or otherwise?
Everything.
Just all of it. Yeah, something could go wrong.
It was so peaceful in the park. We were at capacity, but everyone was just having a great time. The music was good. The fireworks show was great. Police and fire were out in force, so everyone felt really safe. And then moving Torchlight to the waterfront, that's a huge highlight. Such a picturesque backdrop, and bringing back the run, thanks to Kaiser Permanente. So seeing all those runners on the waterfront.
Yeah, so the run and then the kickoff are elements you haven't had for some time.
Yeah, kickoff, this was the first one since COVID. And then the run was the first time since 2022.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Seafair weekend, there's a whole slew of new things that we did there. One of the top moments, probably my entire career, was working on this ride of a lifetime for NASCAR champion Jimmie Johnson. Did you hear about that one?
No.
So 7-time NASCAR champ Jimmie Johnson, when he was 4 years old, he sat on the back of the Blue Blaster in San Diego, when the Hydro, when it broke down. His dad sat him on the back of it, and
Was it moving?
No, it was broken
Stationed.
down on the shore.
Got ya.
So his dad walked him out there, made eye contact with Bill Muncie, the driver, and Bill nodded at him like, yep, you can put him on there. So just sat his son on there, and fast forward 4 decades, and Jimmie's telling the story to local hydro legend Chip Hanauer. Chip then tells David Williams, the executive director of Hydroplane Museum, about this, and David said, wait, I have a photo of a boy sitting on the back of a hydro. Let me just send this to you. So sends it over. Jimmie takes a look. He's like, well, could be me, but I don't know. Sends it to his mom, and his mom said, that is you. It's the cutest little boy in a little yellow hat. Like, it's just such a great photo. And so Chip asked Jimmie, would you ever want to ride or learn how to drive in the Blue Blaster?
Oh, wow.
He's like, hell yeah. And so when I first started at Seafair, David Williams, he asked me, would you consider allowing this to happen at Seafair? It's like, absolutely, 100% yes. And so we've been working on it with a few different parties over the last several months. And the Friday of Seafair weekend, I got to stand next to Chip Hanauer as he had his headset on and was coaching Jimmie through this. And he went around a couple times on the water with David Williams, and then it was time for him to go on his own.
Oh, boy.
And so he tries to start the hydro, dies. Starts it again, dies. And the crowd's just silent. I mean, there are hundreds of people around, and you could have heard a pin drop. And after 2 minutes of trying, he finally got it started, and the crowd just erupts. There were tears, hugs, lots of fists in the air. And so getting to see that happen, and Jimmie getting to drive that hydro that he sat on more than 40 years ago was so amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. And then we had the wacky Can You Ride It competition by Best Day Brewing.
I saw that. That was a new feature, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone misses
cool.
milk carton derby, so why not?
So
make
people built a
something-
bunch of different things,
Yep.
and then they got towed, right?
They try to ride it like a wakeboard,
Yeah.
essentially. So there are a couple like horses, tennis rackets, just
Very creative people.
Yep. Yeah.
Do you remember the winner?
It was it was like, when you were little and you had that rocking horse.
Oh, yeah. Was it this was
one
the
of
couple?
those.
Was that the couple?
Those were different horses.
Oh, okay. Different horses.
Horses were very popular.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Most stressful. I mean, it sounds like drones in the air when they're not supposed to be there, and paddleboarders in the water when they're not supposed to be there sounds stressful. Was there other stressful moments for you?
Yeah, we're a lot of our team members were all new. And having not been through this together, there were some things that we missed. And I think for the most part, those are things that only we internally would know about. Thankfully, the public isn't aware. But there were things like running out of alcohol in the beer gardens, or who was supposed to go get this at Boeing Field. things like
the
that.
details.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now that we've all been through it once, next year is going to be even better.
Well, congratulations. I mean, from the outsider's perspective, it looked terrific.
Thank you.
And great to have so much of the action downtown always, but then to have the two elements that are back now with the run and the block party, or you call it a block party? The kickoff, the summer kickoff, the kickoff to summer.
And we're not done yet. Our Seafair Summer Music Series is still going strong.
On the barge on Lake Union.
On Wednesday nights, and then Columbia Tower Club on Fridays.
That is super cool. And when did that start?
In July.
But I mean, it's gone on other years, or is it's brand new?
No, we just thought, why not introduce one more thing?
Okay, I thought you'd done it 1 year before.
There were a couple floating concerts.
Yes.
And this was after the pandemic. And so these are smaller, more intimate concerts that are open to the public. So people actually get to be on the Trek ferry and sail around with the musicians.
And you've developed it as a series.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you hear the music from Lake Union Park?
You can.
Yeah.
And the Trek will just pause out there for a few songs. And Aaron Crawford, the person who helped us kick off the season, he actually turned the microphone stand around, thought he was going to give the AV team
don't mess with the cables, man.
Yeah, panicking a little bit, but he turned around and he faced the crowd at Lake Union Park and just sang to them for a couple of songs, and it was really cool to watch.
That's cool. So you have a few more of those coming.
Yep.
Is that the same night the paddleboard raves taking place, or have these things merged yet? Have you seen this?
I only saw photos.
Yeah, maybe that's a Tuesday. Well, it can't be a Tuesday because you got Duck Dodge. Yeah. The lake's prime real estate.
Happening.
Yeah, there is. But it seems like your concerts and the paddleboard rave, like there's some match to be made there. But good for you for bringing more music to the waterways. That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and people can go to your website to check that out.
Seafair.org.
Yes. Summer it feels like it's a little winding down, but maybe that's just because it's the first cloudy, rainy day we've had. But people need to get outside and go check out music.
Well, our team hasn't really gotten to relax yet this summer, so we're still hoping that there's a solid month of it left.
I think it's going to be a great September, one of those great Septembers. Yep. So what drew you to Seafair? You're coming up on the 1-year anniversary after being appointed, last August, and you took the role in September as the CEO. You had a role there before and knew the organization and the work.
Never thought I'd be back.
Yeah? What drew you back?
Well, for those who know me, they know I have a really windy career background. Started out in local TV news and then went into tourism, hospitality, a little bit of economic development, most recently human services. And that was really, really important work. I also became frustrated because I can't fix Medicare and Medicaid, which is how we were funded. And it was an internal facing role. And I did really miss being involved in the business community. And when the Seafair position came open, I was so tempted, but I was like, nope, I need to stay where I'm at. Can't move around. But then someone at Seafair approached me, a board member, and asked if I would consider applying. And it was at that point where I realized, okay, if someone else thinks I would be good at this,
I'll throw my hat in.
Yep. And then a couple of people I really respect told me the same thing, including a former CEO. She said, you're meant for this, your background, your connections in the community. And I think it's true. Had I not been at Seafair before, if I didn't have 20 years worth of connections in this city, I don't know that I could have done this job. I would have probably been in the corner crying somewhere. But because of my connections and the relationships, I was able to get in there, help us secure more funding, have some difficult conversations with partners who, fortunately, I've worked with before, already have relationships with them. So it just made it a little easier to dive in. But it's such tangible work. And I really love that. And then also, there's something in it that's very personal to me from... I feel like I nearly lost my life in a festival, in a music festival I loved very much.
In Vegas.
Yes.
What year?
In 2017.
That's right, 2017.
And now I have the chance to kind of help breathe new life into a festival that I really love. So part of it is a personal mission for me. Seafair is near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Go to the events every single year. And so I figured, why not be a part of it again?
Did you grow up going to Seafair?
once my family moved here,
Yeah.
and I was in middle school. So I saw my first hydroplane when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to when I worked in TV news, my colleague's husband was on one of the hydro race teams. And so each summer during Seafair, I was down in the pits with them and became a total groupie and traveled with them to a couple races. So fell in love with watching the hydroplanes, and I love the sound of the Blue Angels. And so it's really fun to be back.
What influenced your transition from TV news in that world to events, hospitality, Visit Seattle, World Trade Center?
I loved the people in the newsroom and the hustle bustle. I actually didn't like TV news when I started out in it. I needed an internship to graduate college, and Como hired me. And then once I was in the newsroom, I was working on the assignment desk as an intern. That's when I realized, okay, I love this fast-paced environment. And someone there who's one of my best friends now, he taught me how to write for TV. And so after my internship was up, I went over to Northwest Cable News, worked my way up from a freelance writer up to executive producer, and then went back to Como. And the people were fantastic, and that's what kept me in it for so long.
You worked with our wonderful producer in one of those stops, right?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
What a guy.
Yeah. And the people are really what kept me there, but I am a people person. And as much as I love my colleagues, I didn't want to sit at the same desk every single day. I wanted to be out and about in the community. And so I ended up getting a job at Visit Seattle selling advertising. And I was always told, if you can sell print advertising, you can sell pretty much anything. And I think that might hold true. So I really fell in love with sales. I actually helped launch a wine club in order to build up my resume to get that first job outside of TV. And so that was the first taste of sales I ever got.
How do you start a wine club?
I had a friend who knew people in the wine industry and knew that they were trying to launch a wine club. And so he had me meet with them. I interviewed with them, and then I just launched the social side of it.
Yeah, so you got connected to a winemaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of fun. And it was actually, our world is so small. It was a member of the wine club that invited me on a houseboat trip to Lake Shasta in California. And I said yes. I'm a big fan of saying yes to things. You never know what'll happen. And on that houseboat, I was assigned a room with another member of a wine club, Shyla, and she worked for Visit Seattle. And I said, I just got rejected from a job there. I had applied for a job in, I think it was PR. So anyway, we go on the trip, we have a blast, get back home, and she sends me an opening for another job. And she was able to help get my resume in front of the hiring manager. And I credit her to this day for getting me out of TV news and
That's great.
getting me into that role.
Yeah, all about relationships, right?
Yep, it is, for sure.
And you've had this journey of working for these different organizations that in a lot of ways are about this place, World Trade Center and Visit Seattle and Seafair, involvement with the Sports Commission, all about in some way shaping what happens here, how people experience it. Is that a through thread for you that has been important to your next job and your career growth about the place, or is it just sort of worked out that way?
I think it just kind of worked out, but I realized my love for our community and connecting people. I find a lot of joy when I'm able to connect to people and say, hey, you do this, maybe you two could meet and talk about doing XYZ together. And then next thing you know, they're meeting, they send me an email, oh my gosh, thank you so much for making that connection. We're now doing this together. And that is what I feed off of. And so any chance I get, I just love making those introductions.
Yeah.
And World Trade Center was a perfect place for that. It's all about bringing leaders together, both established and rising.
That's the DNA of that place, right? Yeah. In your nearly your first year in this role, what's been most challenging? What's been most rewarding?
The most challenging is the lack of, I'm not going to say support because that's changed in recent weeks, perhaps the lack of funding from the city. So there are other festivals around the country that receive actual funding from cities. Here, we pay to put on our events.
Mhm.
So a lot of people
You're raising
think...
private corporate money.
Yep.
For the most part.
Yes, we are a 501c3. We put on the only fireworks show in town, and we are paying a lot of money to do that.
Yeah. Fireworks aren't cheap.
They are not, especially add some tariffs onto that.
Right.
And everything is more expensive these days, but everything Seafair does, we want to make it accessible and inclusive. So the 4th of July is free. There are reserved seats available, but it's free to get in there. We're doing this for the community, and the fact that we are paying so much to do this. Our board chair and I were in the mayor's office yesterday having some really difficult conversations. Like, we need to formalize a partnership if we're going to continue doing this. The parade is free. Again, reserved seats, but we lose money on both of these events. We make up for it through parts of Seafair Weekend and the fundraisers that we do. We don't know if we're going to break even this year yet. And so we really need more financial.
And in the past, in your 70 plus year history, I imagine the city has been invested directly. Is that true? I mean, this model of you sort of all on your own, raising private money, is that somewhat new, or have we had public support in the past?
I cannot speak to that. I am not aware of a time when the city funded Seafair.
Yeah, so it must be quite some time that you've been fully supported by private entities.
Yes. And so, but the city, I mean, I got a call from our deputy police chief the day after the Torchlight Parade, and just, raving about the parade, asking what she can do to support us. And she helped us get magnetometers for Seafair Weekend through the Mariners. And that was a beautiful thing, is seeing that, okay, the police department really wants to help us. And so I don't want to say that we don't receive any support at all. It's just festivals and events are very, very expensive to put on. And there are a lot of taxes that we pay. And this is what I was walking someone through at the mayor's office yesterday, is making sure they're aware of what we pay the parks department and what the city is asking for. So that is challenging. That was probably the biggest surprise that I've had. And then the most rewarding is, I mean, the team that we have, it's just such a phenomenal team. And we work so well together. And at the end of every event, when we get to look around and see people leaving with smiles on their faces, like, that brings us so much joy. And that is the most rewarding.
Do you get to enjoy the actual events and festivities, or is it just is it stressful?
It's stressful.
Or you're just hoping nothing goes wrong?
It's
just a lot of pressure.
Very stressful. We did
You got
watch
planes, you got boats, you got thousands and thousands of people. And
we are a insurer's worst nightmare. They have flat out told us that, especially as we introduce more and more things. They're like, wait, you're doing what now?
Yeah.
Can you write it competition?
Right.
But we did watch the fireworks on the 4th of July. We all went to different places. Because it was my first fireworks show since the shooting, I found some firefighters to stand next to where I felt safe.
You've avoided fireworks shows?
I have.
Yeah.
I usually leave the country. And so this time, not only was I watching a show, but I helped produce it. I put together the soundtrack. And
they expect you to be around, right?
Yeah. So a little ironic, but next year I want to be in the middle of that crowd, because I could hear everyone singing and
the joy.
I could see some people dancing. And so I want to be in it next time. The parade, got to watch it from the TV zone, and that was really cool. And then Seafair Weekend, Friday, no one enjoyed it. No one on our team. I mean, it was just, let's get through this. And Saturday was a little better, and by Sunday, we got to enjoy a lot of it. But still, you were down at Genesee that whole time? Yes. Yeah, on Sunday, in the park. I was. And it's just so surreal. I posted this on LinkedIn today, how 4:30 Blue Angels are flying. They're wrapping up. We move into the awards ceremony for the hydros. And then next thing you know, you see all these people leaving, all these trucks moving out. Vendors and exhibitors are breaking down. Our team is cutting down
scattering
mesh.
Off the log boom.
And then it's a ghost town. And it's like, wait, where
do you have like a post-event come down?
Yeah, and that is talked about in the conference that we go to, the International Festivals and Events Association. There's a whole session about it, about its post-event season depression. It's a real thing.
Really?
And people are impacted greatly by it. And so for me personally, I have made sure that I have some fun things to look forward to.
Yeah.
My body was in shock on Monday. We all went to the park. We continued to tear down. And here I was absolutely exhausted, but I knew I can't sit at home. I don't know how to do that anymore. And so I went and I had dinner with my CEO, John Oppenheimer. He took me out. I hadn't had a vegetable in days or a real meal. And so he took me out to dinner and it was perfect. But I've yet to just sit at home since Seafair weekend.
Yeah. I can understand that. And you and your team spend what, like a year?
Yeah. 11 months.
Planning all of this, and you're already sort of looking ahead and having conversations with the city about city investment for next year.
Exactly.
And yeah. So it's like painting a bridge. You get
Mm-hmm.
to one end and you turn around. Well, again, congrats. I mean, it's,
Thank you.
Yeah, that's not, one single major event that you all do is an undertaking, but to be able to do them all and do them so well, with a lot of different variables and new locations and some new events and also in this environment of raising money for these things is not easy.
It isn't. And thank you for recognizing that. There are some people who say, wait, Seafair is a full-time job. And good on us for making it look so easy that people don't realize that.
I think you started this in May.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Just part-time work. But then, and we haven't even gotten into the hundreds of volunteers. So it's hundreds of people who are working year-round on this. But there was a woman who came up when we had the big International Women's Forum conference here in May. And so I was also helping plan that while planning Seafair. I don't recommend doing that. But a woman from California was up here, and when she learned what I did, she said, I can't believe that my team plans one bowl game each year, and there are 8 people on the team, and that's all they do. And we have 8 full-time people on our team. And I was like, oh, if we
for
could
fireworks,
just,
parades, runs, hydros, Blue Angels.
one bowl game, that sounds nice.
And we were chatting before we started recording that you all currently and have for the last several years have been working remotely, your staff, which is kind of an interesting, you noted sort of challenge as you get to the final months and weeks of before Seafair summer to make it all work. But you made it all work. But
we did. It wasn't easy though. And at the time, I don't think I realized how much we needed the in-person time and connections. But when you're trying to plan an entire festival through Teams messages and virtual meetings, I mean, a couple of us tend to be downtown in meetings all the time, but we have great talent who live outside the city. And so that's a huge perk, is that we are remote, and that allows us to have this incredible talent on the team who might not otherwise be able to work at Seafair. But come festival season, when you are in the heart of the season, nothing can replace that in-person time, water cooler conversation. Oh, wait, did you think about this? What about this? That kind of conversation, small talk, that's really important. That doesn't happen online.
Yeah. What does your debrief look like as a team and with your board?
So we met.
How do you assess?
We have standing meetings every week, and so they're on Tuesdays. And on Monday, someone asked, are we having this meeting tomorrow? And some people wanted to push it back, but this is our last week with our part-time seasonal workers. And so as much as our brains were not fully functioning, we still met yesterday, and we talked about everything that went well, everything we can improve upon or want to do differently next year. So we made it through that, which was great, learned a lot. And then we'll go through the same exercise with our board, our emergency management team. And then in September and October, that's when the planning retreats happen, and we'll just dive in deeper.
We should mention you started a podcast.
Yeah.
Amongst all of this planning in your first year for Seafair. What compelled you to start it? What are the types of conversations you're having, and how's it going?
I did not start it because I thought we needed another podcast. There's so many podcasts. But since I started at Seafair, I realized how many people don't know what Seafair is. And the idea came to me actually last August when I was shadowing the previous CEO at Seafair Weekend. I had just received the offer. I was going to start that September, but I was able to shadow him during Seafair Weekend. And we went up to the start-finish tower of the hydroplane course. And I met someone who had volunteered for Seafair for more than 50 years. And all of his children experience Seafair every year. And it was his story. That was the first one I heard where I thought, whoa, other people need to hear this. And it was Seafair that he volunteered for when he was a teenager. He was volunteering for the Milk Carton Derby, discovered his love for engineering, joined the Army Corps of Engineer, had a 30-some-odd year career there, still while volunteering at Seafair. And now he does all of the mapping for us and makes the hydro races happen. And so that's just one of the many, many stories I started to hear. And I couldn't think of another way to tell these stories other than this podcast. And then at the time, Columbia Tower Club opened up this great studio. So I figured, well, I guess it's meant to be. And so far, we've interviewed the president of the Pirates, the head of our emergency management group, and our air show lead. One of my favorite interviews is with Chip Hanauer, and then also Melissa Burns, who was a new stunt pilot that we brought in this year. Like, she's just so inspiring, gave me goosebumps. Every single one of these episodes, I always find myself with goosebumps during them.
And you get to bring to life some of the folks that we see, but we don't really see or hear from. Right.
The behind the scenes people who actually make everything happen.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Mostly our volunteers.
People can find your podcast wherever they find their podcasts, I assume?
No, because we have such a small team that I couldn't pull any resources from marketing. So this is a one-man band. I'm doing this on my own. So thank you everyone for your patience. But right now it's on our website, and which is linked to YouTube. Seafair. I didn't know how to do it any other way. Seafair.org.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, they can go there. That's easy. You mentioned your previous CEO, Eric Corning, who you followed. He was there 24 years, if I have the math right. For
one of the stints, and then I think he had another stint there too.
So it was totaled 24.
I think it was closer to 30, actually.
30, okay, wow. So what was it like following somebody who had such a long tenure leading this community institution and treasure that has been here for 70 plus years? How did you think of those dynamics coming into the role? I'm somewhat curious because I followed somebody here. It was Kate Jonkus, who was here for 24 years. We're not quite as old as Seafair, but founded in 58.
Yep.
But what was kind of going through your head in the first few weeks on the job following?
It's intimidating. I mean, so in the interview process, one of the team members was in the interview along with board members. And this person was in there because they wanted to make sure that whoever was being hired would fit well with the team. That was the one thing they said. That was most important to them. It was Eric got along so well with the team, and they wanted to make sure that that team dynamic didn't change. And I wouldn't say that it did. I mean, we get along great, which is fantastic. Eric was more operational than I am, and he got us through a pandemic. And that is amazing. So I got to come in and play off of what he did. So I'm really, really grateful for everything that he did at Seafair. And now we can focus more on what's been really important to me is the storytelling and making sure that we are loud and proud about who we are and what we do. And so I think Eric and I have different strengths, and it's fun being able to build on everything that he did for Seafair. He moved the offices to virtual offices. And so Eric and I, we were at someone's retirement party last summer, and it was right after he gave his notice and the job was posted. And it was at this...
Before you were contemplating.
Well, he didn't know this, but I had actually applied that day.
Okay, that day.
He took me aside at this retirement party. It was for someone with Navy League Seattle, and he said, hey, if you're interested in this job, let's talk. And so I didn't tell him I had already applied, but I said, sure, let's talk. And so when we did talk, he told me they didn't have any office space. I was like, wait, how do you even operate? And I was like, where's all this stuff? Because I just remembered our old offices on 6th Ave. They were just filled with stuff. And so he explained how they just got rid of a lot of things, how they have a couple storage units, how he moved like all the files online. And so I was really impressed with everything that he did there. I don't know that I could have done all that. That was a huge move, but it's also one that saved Seafair since couldn't afford office space during the pandemic.
Yeah, that was a tough few years there to keep things moving.
Yeah, but Eric, people are always tempted to, okay, let's just see how this was done last year. And I'm like, no, let's figure it out on our own. And I will say Eric tried to save us. It was Friday of Seafair weekend. We had the Blue Angels walk down. And
this last Friday.
Yep. And I didn't know that he was there. I was in a separate room working on some things. And I learned that he got in there. He helped serve some beverages. And so, he's so great. Still a wonderful supporter of Seafair.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Do you understand how the Blue Angels do what they do? Like, do you sit back and just like, how do they do that?
Yeah,
like you watch them all these years and I still don't get it. And I was sitting out on a boat with some friends on Sunday and just looking up. I was like, no insight, nothing to offer here.
Well, I think what has always...
Do they share?
We've talked a fair amount, and each time I've worked with them. And I think one thing that is surprising to me is, so usually people have 2 years on the team. There's one person that has 3 years. Now, if they were on there for an indefinite amount of time, that would make sense to me. Okay, they've got this dialed in. They know what they're doing. But the fact that you always have these new members, I don't know how they do that.
See, that's some good insight.
Yes.
Now I'm even more blown away and confused by the whole thing. Yep. But the choreography and all of that is just wild.
I know. Being just inches away from each other.
Yeah.
I do want to say I had a rather sad conversation with one of the Blue Angels that made my heart sad. Sorry?
With a pilot?
Yes.
Yeah.
And first year on the team, and he got here and he said, all I'm hearing about is this negative.
The stupid billboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, does Seattle want us here? And I said, of course you're going to have people who maybe aren't fans, but the overwhelming majority from everything that we're seeing, if you read through comments or emails, people want you here. And it hurt my heart to know how hard we've worked to bring them here, how much people look forward to having them here. In the few years that we didn't have the Blue Angels here, that's all people talked about. Mm-hmm. It's not summer in Seattle without the Blue Angels. Mm-hmm. And so it made me really sad, and for multiple reasons, because I do think we are allowing the loudest voices to get this much airtime and publicity. And that makes me realize local journalism, which I already knew, isn't the same as it used to be. So I think there are a few layers as to why this made me sad, but I'm saying this now because, Seattle, this is nothing against Seattle Times, which is a great partner of ours, but there was nothing about Torchlight Parade the day after. Here we were thinking, this will be a great front page article. Nothing. And then there are a few things about where you can watch the Blue Angels, but this season, a lot of what we saw, it really was negative. Yeah. And I want people to know that they're watching and they're listening. And if we aren't loud about wanting them here, then they will choose another city. Seattle is one of only a few cities that they return to every single year. And we will lose that if we don't make sure that they know that they're loved here.
Yeah, here. Yeah. And there's few things, that we gather as a community to sort of do together. And it's so cool to see not just people on boats or gathering at homes, but like the I-90 bridge is just jam-packed with people to watch the Blue Angels. And those traditions and those moments that occur on a regular basis where everybody sort of comes together to enjoy it are pretty cool. And the Blue Angels are one of those.
Well, we don't close the bridge anymore, but people are. I mean, it's kind of hard to drive when everyone wants to stop.
But just the number of pedestrians in the bike lanes.
Yes.
And cyclists that are just up there at either end.
And
off the island and off the Seattle side is super cool.
And all the surrounding parks. And so I found a post on social media. It was from one of those surrounding parks, so not associated with Seafair.
Yeah.
And the images were just so powerful. So I ended up sending this to the person I've been talking to. And I said, here you go. This is outside of Seafair, but Seattle does want you, as does Mercer Island and all the surrounding communities. And they're like, okay, this is really nice to see.
It was a great time. We have a couple of standard questions, Emily, to conclude. What was your very, very, very first job that you took a paycheck for?
Well, thanks to my Korean mother, who was a little tough on me growing up. When I was 15, she had me enroll in this program that teaches you how to interview, how to shake hands, how to put together a resume. And everyone there left with an internship. And mine was at Russell Mellon. It was part of Frank Russell.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an admin job, but I got hired on full-time after that. Not full-time, I was in school, but I was hired on after. So I brought home a pretty decent paycheck from that. And then I went on to the YMCA and Hollywood Video following that.
Right on. And then our final question is, what's your perfect Saturday in Seattle?
Oh my gosh.
We're going to make you pick a non-Seafair Saturday.
I haven't had a Saturday like off since winter. And so like right now I would say absolutely nothing. I would want to do nothing, but
that's an acceptable perfect Saturday.
Although I'm sure in another week I'll be ready for what used to be my perfect Saturday, which is the boxing gym in the morning.
Yeah.
Followed by a breakfast sandwich at Dahlia with a couple of my boxing friends. And then maybe a little nap. And then if, I can never say this, Oodalali, if that was still going on, which it is right now. But if there was a concert on the Pier 62, like that would be a perfect.
You've taken in a few of those?
Yes.
Yeah. It's great to have those back.
Yes. Yes. Love live music.
Right.
Love it on the pier. So that would be
those are some good downtown activities too, we should point out.
Oh, yeah.
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 Is your boxing gym downtown?
It sure is.
Oh, right.
A couple blocks away from here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you for making time for this a couple days after the conclusion of Seafair for the summer of 2025 and coming up on your 1-year anniversary leading the enterprise. Great to have you at the helm there, and congrats on how you've evolved it. I think
Thank you.
There's always this tricky balance between tradition and an evolution, and this is something that's got a ton of tradition around it. But like anything, if it's going to be sustained and remain relevant, it's got to evolve. So
exactly. Yep. Just
thanks
build
for
on that
evolving
legacy.
it, and it's such a great thing to have downtown, but also for the whole city and region. So congrats.
Thank you.
And we encourage folks to check out your podcast as well. Seafair Stories.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seafair Stories at seafair.org.
Exactly.
Hope you enjoyed my conversation with Emily. Thanks again to her for making time to come on Seattle City Makers. She is truly a city maker and has really focused her career on shaping just great events and experiences for us here in Seattle. And thanks for what she's done to evolve and carry on the great traditions of Seafair. I want to close out with a recommendation of something you got to check out in downtown Seattle. And the cat's out of the bag on this one with a story today in the Puget Sound Business Journal of James Beard Award-winning chef, former chef at Canlis, Brady Williams, and his plans to bring a restaurant to the underground space that includes the concourse between the Skinner Building and Rainier Square under Fifth Avenue. I've been hearing rumblings about this for some time. Not a lot of detail just yet on what this restaurant and food and beverage concept will be. I've heard some rumors that suggest I'm going to like it very much, but I'm not sure I'm supposed to say what exactly it is. But PSBJ got their hands on the permit application for this space, and I don't think we have an opening date yet, but keep your eyes on this space brought to us by Brady Williams, who, of course, is behind Tomo in White Center, a restaurant that's won great acclaim. And I would just say I'm very much looking forward to this. A lot of great energy on that block and great things. Of course, PCC's reopening and Equinox and Fonte and Fifth Avenue Theater and Suit Supply that opened earlier this year. So great energy there at the corner of Fifth and University and Union. And we shouldn't forget about Cafe Freya either, which opened its doors earlier this summer at the corner of Fifth and Union. So check out and keep your eyes on the space under the Skinner Building and what Brady Williams has in store. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on this episode of Seattle City Makers presented by the Downtown Seattle Association with support from James Cito and production by Thread Theory.